الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. As it is well known for the normal attendees, the normal watchers, viewers and listeners, Hadith disciples and disciples, our class during the week is on a book called wal-Marjan فيما اتفق عليه الشيخان. wal-Marjan فيما اتفق عليه الشيخان, which is a book compiled by a late Egyptian scholar, Muhammad Fawad Abdul Baqi, passed away, Allah have mercy on his soul, in which he put together hadiths that can be found and they were collected in the two most authentic books of the Sunnah, the Sahih of Imam Bukhari and the Sahih of Imam Muslim. In simpler terms, the most authentic source for Islamic education, for Islamic culture, for Islamic belief, for Islamic information after the Quran al-Kareem. The most authentic source for Islam after the Quran. Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. Obviously, Sahih Bukhari is a relatively large book. Sahih Muslim is a relatively large book. So he selected hadiths, summarizing them, taking out their chains of narrations, the isnads, repetitive hadiths, etc. And he organized them and he placed them in topical arrangement according to Sahih Muslim, as we have explained all of this time. Alhamdulillah, we've been teaching this book for some years now, maybe 2-3 years, and we've covered many hadiths, over 400 hadiths approximately, or close to 450 hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ on several different topics. Topics of etiquette, topics of knowledge, topics of what we believe in, our aqidah as Muslims, our creed, our faith, and also the halal and the haram, with regards to the pillars of Islam, the prayer, and the different aspects of the prayer, congregational prayer, the adhan, purification of the body, the soul, the spirit, etc. Alhamdulillah, Allah has allowed us to not only do these classes, but to record all of them, and post and publish all of them. So if you go to the library in the playlist on the channel, you can find all of the classes that we've done over the years. You can review them, you can go back to them, you can benefit from them, etc. طيب, khairan, inshallah. So with that being said, tonight's class is in volume 1, page 246, the 28th chapter. The author, he says, باب ما روي في من نام الليل وأجمع حتى أصبح. حديث عبد الله بن مسعود رضي الله عنه قال: ذكر عند النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم رجل نام ليله حتى أصبح، قال: ذاك رجل بال الشيطان في أذنيه، أو قال في أذنه. حديث علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم طرقه وفاطمة بنت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عليهما السلام ليلة، فقال: ألا تصليان؟ فقلت: يا رسول الله أنفسنا بيد الله، فإذا شاء أن يبعثنا بعثنا. فانصرف حين قلنا ذلك ولم يرجع إلي شيئا، ثم سمعته وهو مول يضرب فخذه وهو يقول: وكان الإنسان أكثر شيء جدلا. حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: يعقد الشيطان على قافية رأس أحدكم إذا هو نام 3 عقد، يضرب على كل عقدة: عليك ليل طويل فارقد. فإن استيقظ فذكر الله انحلت عقدة، فإن توضأ انحلت عقدة، فإن صلى انحلت عقدة، فأصبح نشيطا طيب النفس، وإلا أصبح خبيث النفس كسلان. Chapter 20 says, what has been said about the one who sleeps the whole night till morning. What has been said about the one who sleeps the whole night till morning, i.e., one who does not pray at night, one who may oversleep for Salat al-Fajr, one who does not make the witr, one who does not make these supplications and these invocations at nighttime until the morning comes. Until the morning comes. As we've been explaining last week and the week before about Salatul Layl, prayer at night, Tahajjud, Qiyam. We've also been explaining regarding the witr of the Prophet ﷺ, the proper understanding of witr according to the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah ﷺ. And also the dua, or the ad'iyah, how the Prophet ﷺ will connect himself to Allah, and how he encouraged us to connect ourselves to Allah at night. The night in general and specific parts of the night. Now we've been explaining all of this, right? In the previous chapters, right? So here, what happens if a person doesn't implement those hadiths? Forgetfully, out of lethargy or just human weakness, the person oversleeps, he's been working, he's tired, overtime, double shifts, children, babies crying at night, husband, wife, stress, etc. A person who does not make these prayers at nighttime, and unfortunately a person, they may oversleep for Salat al-Fajr, right? Then obviously talking about Salat al-Fajr, that in itself doesn't deserve a lecture, but that deserves a workshop. And if we were to investigate our homes and see how many of us don't get up for Salat al-Fajr, or how many of us make Salat al-Fajr in the masjid that's close by in our homes, or how many of us, our children don't get up for Salat al-Fajr, or your wife may not wake up for Salat al-Fajr, but you do get up, or your husband, he might not wake up for Salat al-Fajr, and the sister, she gets up and she prays. So this is devastating when the Muslim loses out on any prayer, let alone the Fajr prayer. And the concept of, I can pray when I wake up because I have to go to school. I can pray when I wake up because I have to go to work. I need extra sleep. I need extra time. Unfortunately. And obviously these problems are inflated when we stay up late at night, as we explained in last week's class as well. And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam kariha an-nawma qabla al-isha wal hadith ba'daha. The Prophet, he disliked for the people to sleep before Isha. He wasn't fond of it for those to go to sleep before Isha prayer, even take a nap. And he wasn't fond of people staying up after Salat al-Isha. How we explained with Smith al Hadith, if a person stays up after Salat al-Isha without a purpose, without a reason, without some type of spiritual or worldly benefit. And that's the culture of many of us, to stay up after Salat al-Isha. Praying, no. Studying, no. Spending time with your family, no. Working on something fruitful of this life or the next, no. Laughing and joking, video games, movies, music, sports, arguing and fighting, and all types of things. And this is the culture of nightlife, right? The nightlife. The sidewalk cafe. Obviously not now, it's cold, but even in the cold, they still have the heaters on the sidewalk. And people, they work all day and they want to go out. Even if they don't go out to the club and they don't go out to drink, but they want to just have fun at night. Now, and what happens to these people when they have night lives? Do they wake up early in the morning? Oftentimes they don't. And if they do wake up early in the morning, they're waking up early in the morning oftentimes for the wrong reasons, such as to begin their rat race. The rat race. To begin spinning the wheel as a hamster. Rushing to work, sitting in traffic, getting on a train, getting on a bus, waiting for the trolley. Now, and oftentimes people, they may hear about Islam and they say, you guys get up early in the morning and pray? You go to the mosque early in the morning and pray? You make the adhan early in the morning and pray? That's something which is an amazing feat. But you may find people who live 2-3 hours from their places of work. They have to get on all types of trains and buses and have to drive for many, many highways and exits. And they never ever complain about that, to go make money. And to go be miserable and complain about working in that cubicle or that office with those backstabbing, conniving, double-faced, backbiting coworkers. This is a reality of many people, of many of us today. Am I making this up? I mean, this is a reality. So the Muslim who can't get up for Salat al-Fajr and always oversleeps and never wants to get up and turns the alarm off, or doesn't set the alarm, or hits the snooze button over and over again, or sets the alarm until after Fajr has come in and left. Fajr is going to go out at, let's say, what time now? 6:51. So I set my alarm for 7:30 to wake up. I have to be to work at 8:30. That's a problem. That's a what? That's a problem. Or I sat by alarm, but I stayed up so late doing nothing. Studying, reading, just what? Nothingness. Let alone if I stayed up at night doing what? Haram things. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. So the concept of prayer, the concept of fajr, the concept of jama'ah, when we look into our lives, oftentimes it's sad. It's utterly sad. And from the saddest things that you'll find is a mixed household. A mixed household. And this is a reality. The father and the youngest daughter, they pray. The mother and the middle kids don't pray. The grandfather and the oldest sons, they go to the masjid. And the rest of the family, they sleep. The concept of having a household in which our families don't make salah. And you go over someone's house for tea and biscuits or dinner or whatever the case may be, and you line up and say, oh yeah, we're making salah. It's just the older mother and someone else. Where are the rest of the family members at? They live secular lifestyles. They're Muslim by name. They say La ilaha Muhammad Rasulullah, but they don't make salah. My son is not praying at the time. This is a sad reality. Why isn't your son praying? Is your son been sent astray? You did everything that you could. That's one thing. Or were you negligent as a parent? Was work more important than educating your children? Was school and career more important than your children and your family? Was sports more important than looking after your young children, huh? Or maybe you are praying now, but when your children were born and being raised, you were drinking alcohol. And alhamdulillah, Allah guided you to throw away the bottle, to overcome that horrible addiction. But now perhaps Allah is testing you with some of what? The say. You understand this? You have to have sabr upon this. This is a problem. And the same applies to hijab, riba, and all other types of things. But the prayer, the basic concept of the deen is to make salah. In many of our households, there are several people that do not pray. And we don't try to wake them up. We don't say anything to them. We don't speak to them. We just, as if we're saying, lakum dinakum waliya din. You have your way, we have ours, and that's it. There's no enjoying of the good, forbidding of the evil. There's no jealousy for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Come and eat breakfast. And you did make salat al-fajr. Every single day. So this is an unfortunate reality. It's an unfortunate reality, and that's Allah for help. With regards to this. Khairan, inshallah. The first narration is hadith number 442. And it's narrated by Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. It was mentioned before the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that there was a man who slept the night till morning, i.e. after sunrise. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he is a man whose ear shaitan had urinated. Hadith 443 is narrated Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. That one night Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to him and Fatima. And it says here, alayhim as-salam, or alayhi as-salam. We previously explained that it is not specific to Ali radiallahu anhu and his daughter. May Allah be pleased with them both and all of Ahlul Bayt. Our aqidah, we love all of the companions of the Messenger of Allah, and we love Ahlul Bayt, the believers from Ahlul Bayt. There's no doubt about that. And they have a virtue, and they have excellent merits, as is mentioned in the authentic Sunnah. But to give them the specific wording, alayhi salam, karramallahu wajhahu, that is something which is not necessarily the way of the ulama of the Sunnah. And we've explained before, is that there are many practices and sneaky little things that have come from the Shia and the Rafidah that have crept into some books of the people of the Sunnah. Small things. Everyone understand this? So to specifically point out Ali radiallahu anhu and say alayhi salam, or Fatima alayhi salam, that's problematic. What's the ruling on saying alayhi salam or alayhi salam, other than the prophets and the angels and things like this? Is hadith with regards to certain aspects about this. But to specifically point out just Ali and Fatima, that's incorrect. Right. So the Prophet alayhi salam, he came to Ali and Fatima and said, don't you offer the prayer at night? I said, oh Allah's Messenger, our souls are in the hands of Allah. And if He wants us to wake up, or if He wants us to get up, He will make us get up. When I said that, he left us without saying anything. And I heard that he was hitting his thigh as saying, but man is ever more quarrelsome than anything. Hadith 444 is narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, during your sleep, Satan puts 3 knots at the back of your head, of each one of you. On every knot he reads and inhales the following words: the night is long for you, so stay asleep. When one awakens and remembers Allah Ta'ala, 1 knot is undone. And when one performs ablution, the 2nd knot is undone. And when one offers salah, the 3rd knot is undone. And one gets up energetic and in a good mood. It says mode. And with a good heart in the morning. Otherwise, one gets up in a bad mode, lazy. So we have 3 hadiths which all show us the recommendation of prayer at night and the importance of making salat al-fajr and the punishment and the result and the consequence of not making salat al-fajr. And some of these hadiths also show us the reasons behind not making salat al-fajr. And look here, especially towards the last hadith of the chapter, between the connection between fajr and dhikr, fajr and Allah's barakah, fajr and energy, and fajr and not making it, and shaitan, and laziness and lethargy and lack of barakah. So this hadith is tremendous narration, and it shows us, as we've explained, is that there's never a clash between proper understanding of the deen and beneficial things of the worldly life. There's never no clash between the two. The proper understanding of the deen and the beneficial things of this dunya. As we've said, there's no hadith, there's nothing wrong with having a fine car. There's nothing wrong with having abundance of wealth. There's nothing wrong with being handsome and strong. There's nothing wrong with having a nice, comfortable house. There's nothing wrong with dressing nice. There's nothing wrong with a person speaking eloquently. There is no hadith that is authentic that prohibits and prevents a Muslim from having beneficial things in his life. But illegal wealth, unjust wealth, ill-gotten wealth, different story. Oppressing people, lying, stealing, cheating, riba, totally different story. Greed, an insatiable desire for stacking up and piling up worldly things, different story. Are we understanding this? Or the improper understanding of the religion will clash with worldly benefits. But the correct deen would never ever clash with the things that you need of this dunya, of basic necessity and a little more. And what? A little more. There's nothing wrong with that. And oftentimes people look at things as being a means of waste or extra or excess. It's not necessarily the case. And you don't know the necessity of those things until you break your phone, or until your pocket watch stops working, or until there's an emergency and somebody comes over your house. And now you need those extra rooms, right? And you need a better car or a stronger car, or you need the extra money. Are we understanding this? So oftentimes having extra things beyond the necessities is not necessarily what? Wastefulness and extravagance. There's a huge difference between the two. Khairan, inshallah. So that's the mafad hadith al-thalatha, what these 3 hadiths teach us. As far as the first hadith, hadith 442, then there's a narration of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. And that is a man who slept and he didn't wake up for Salat al-Fajr. The Prophet ﷺ says, ذَاكَ رَجُلٌ. He says, that is a man. Notice carefully that the Prophet never mentioned the man's name. Did the companions tell him his name or not? Al-Muhim, the Prophet didn't specify who it was. So a lesson should be taken from that. And he says, ذَاكَ رَجُلٌ بَالَ الشَّيْطَانُ فِي أُذُنَيْهِ أو قال فِي أُذُنِهِ. That shaitan has urinated in his ear. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, اختلفوا في معناه فقال ابن قتيبة معناه أفسده يقال بال في كذا إذا أفسده. وقال المهلب والطحاوي وآخرون هو استعارة واستشارة أو إشارة إلى انقياده للشيطان وتحكمه فيه وعقده على قافية رأسه عليك ليل طويل وإذلاله له. وقيل معناه استخف به واحتقره واستعلى عليه. يقال لمن استخف بإنسان وخدعه بال في أذنه. وأصل ذلك في دابة تفعل ذلك بالأسد إذلالا له. وقال الحربي معناه ظهر عليه وسخر منه. قال القاضي عياض ولا يبعد أن يكون على ظاهره قال وخص الأذن لأنها حاسة الانتباه. Now he says the scholars of Islam, they differ on the interpretation of this hadith. They differ on the interpretation of this hadith. What does it exactly mean? بَالَ الشَّيْطَانُ فِي أُذُنِهِ, that Satan has urinated in his ear. What does that mean? Some say, such as Ibn Qutayba, أَفْسَدَهُ, that the shaitan has ruined him. He's been ruined by the shaitan. Just look at that now. Regardless of what the other ulama say that means, but just look at that concept. When you don't get up for Fajr, shaitan is what? Ruins you. So that's one night. So what about if it is your intention? It is your what? Your niyyah not to get up for Fajr. And you oversleep Fajr each and every single morning. Huh? How many times will the shaitan have ruined you? You understand this? And this goes to show us the universal law of life and also of Islam. One problem leads to other problems. One thing, and you have other compounded problems. Now, and next thing you know, those problems are out of control. And you can't patch all of the water that's rushing into your what? The hull of your submarines. Too much damage. And if enough water goes into your boat, what will happen to you and your men? You'll meet your watery grave. Everyone understand this? So this is serious now. The shaitan will ruin you if you don't get up for Salat al-Fajr. He says, others, they say that the Prophet is speaking metaphorically. He's speaking metaphorically. And that it means that he is submitted to the shaitan. And the shaitan is like, pulling him along, dragging him by a collar or a leash. And that the shaitan says, وَتَحَكُمِهِ, he's controlling him. The shaitan is your master. He's moving you. A'udhu billah. Making policy what you're going to do when you don't get up for Salat al-Fajr. He says here, and also this is the meaning when the Prophet says that he makes a knot, right? At the nape of his neck, his head. And he says sleep for a very long time. It's a long, long night, right? Covers are warm. A'udhu billah. Think about the challenge now, especially in the wintertime. It's cold outside, covers are warm, you're dreaming, snoring, whatever you do in your sleep that makes your sleep more comfortable. Those chemicals from your brain are being released in your body, and the sleep feels so good. Yeah. Everyone understand this? Toasty, right? So for you to get up and to break that toastiness, and then put the water in your body and get dressed and brush your teeth and pray, that proves what? You have some type of iman. Yeah. Let alone the person is married. Challenge me even further and greater. And that's the importance of having a righteous wife or a righteous husband. Someone that's not going to pull you down, but is going to elevate you, lift you up. If you're tired, you hit the snooze button, your wife will what? Help you out. Your husband will help you out. This is the importance of having a righteous spouse. And there's nothing wrong with being warm and toasty and comfortable, but not when it's time for what? Salah. For Fajr. Now when it's time for what? Fajr. For the Fajr. I know we don't have all time. He even says. And others, they say it's the khaffa bihi, is that the shaitan looks down upon you. He holds you in contempt. He looks at you as being nothing. Wahtaqarahu. He disdains you. He scorns you. He looks at you as you're what? Filth, low scum. You're nothing. Just think about that now. Lord Akbar. That's crazy. Some of them, they say this hadith means that the shaitan has no respect for a Muslim that doesn't get up for Fajr. In other words, that would mean that the shaitan knows what? Salah. The importance of what? Fajr. And the excellence of Fajr. And that if you're not praying, as if you're nothing in the eyes of who? Shaitan. That's heavy. Steve. You're nothing. You can't make the basic salah. You're what? Of no value. He says here, وَصَالَ عَلَيْهِ, and the shaitan has conquered him, taken over him. He's above him. Alright? And this is, in the Arabic language, they say that fulanun, it says it's the khafa bi insan. Someone looks down upon someone and tricks someone, he urinates in his ear. And he said this comes from, he says, dabbatun, some type of insect, a small creature that goes into a lion's ear and urinates. As a means of humiliating the strong, powerful what? Lion. Think about that now. He can hunt all these animals, sharp claws, fangs, body full of muscle, but he can't what?
Hearing out his ear.
Subhanallah. Everyone understand this? Like he's making fun of them. He then says, وَقَالَ الْحَرْبِيُّ and others, طيب ظهر عليه وسخر منه نعم. Others they say وَلَا يَبْعُدُ أَنْ يَكُونَ عَلَى ظَاهِرِهِ. And they say that it isn't far-fetched, that it is in its what? Literal meaning. And we know that's the correct view. And this is from the ghaib, with which, or in which we believe. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. Those who believe in that which they cannot see. And what good is everything to be figurative and metaphorical? What good is that at the end of the day? Everything is figurative. You understand this? There was no such thing as the actual reality of what the Prophet said, but in another world. What's more profound now? This really doesn't mean this. It really means that. It really. Or the shaitan is among you and you may not even know it. The angels are among you, you may not what? Even know it. This will take place, this is in the grave, and the human beings, they can't what? See it. And the most modern scanner or type of technology can't read it and pick it up. What's more profound for belief, iman? Of course. You understand this? So this goes to show you how ilm al-kalam and the falsafa and these types of innovations and these types of unorthodox practices and understandings crept into the books of some of the ulama and how it dominated them. And it's all connected. It's not just about aqidah, also it's even in the lugha and hadith and the fiqh. Everyone understand this? When the pious predecessors, they would never distort and interpret the hadith and strip it from its meaning. Everyone understand this? And from the meanings of the shaitan urinating in a person's ear is mocking him and taking over him and so on and so forth. But it doesn't mean that it isn't literal. And the person wakes up and says, well, nothing's in my ear. I use a cotton swab, there's no urine in my ear. What does shaitan's urine look like? How's shaitan urinating in every single person's ear? How many Muslims are there? Let alone does this happen to non-Muslims? But let's say Muslims. How can a shaitan be in
everybody? Yeah. He's one person.
We know that the Sahaba, they never asked this question. And if they heard anyone asking this question, they probably would call him a kafir, a zindiq. Are you a Muslim asking that question? The Prophet ﷺ said it, it's proven to be true and authentic, and you dare ask that question? Let alone the fact that you're comparing shaitan to human beings who have restrictions of time and speed and matter, right? He's made from fire. What do you think his limitations are? Do you think he has to walk or get on a plane or get on a train to go somewhere? He's made from what? Fire, smokeless fire. How long has he been living? Did you ever think about that? How long has shaitan been alive? So you think he's just some normal average,
Sure.
Oh, wait a second. I have a list to go and urinate in these people's ears. I got to make it in time before the sun rises. What is this? Everyone understand this? This is unfortunate with life. It's very unfortunate. Everyone understand this? And if it was proof that Santa Claus was real and he rode on a sleigh with red-nosed reindeers and he made it to everyone's house, we would what? We would accept that he had the ability to do that. If it was what? If it was proof. If it was what? Proof. If it was proof. I don't understand this. When you grow up, says Santa Claus, how's he here, how's he there? It's made up. It's false, it's fake. Let alone the pagan history of it. But the concept of someone being in more than one place and several times and moving at a superhuman paranormal speed. If it's confirmed, if it's given to us in an authentic source, we would do what? We would accept it. We wouldn't have no option. Everyone understand this? I'm just making an example here. Don't no one get excited about Christmas.
Take it easy.
And the Grinch who stole Christmas. We're making an example here. Everyone understand this? Is that you're dealing with a being, a creature that's what? Not like me and you. Everybody understand the point or not? Let alone the fact that, does this hadith mean that it is the shaitan? Does the alif and the lam necessitate that it is shaitan himself? Let alone one of his stoops, an evil jinn, a shaitan. Moving forward. So this hadith goes to show us that there are effects and causes with regards to not getting up for Salat al-Fajr. And as we just said, the virtue of Salat al-Fajr and the virtue of the night prayer and the virtue of making it your intention to wake up and to pray. Khairan inshaAllah. Hadith 443. It goes to show us the importance for family members to encourage to encourage each other and to counsel each other with bir and taqwa. Allah tells the Prophet in the Quran to establish the prayer, be patient upon it, and join your family with the prayer. Have sabr upon it. We don't ask you for no what? Or rizq. So the Prophet ﷺ was related to Ali, and he was also related to Fatima, radiallahu anhuma, through one way or another. Obviously Fatima being his daughter, and Ali radiallahu anhu being his, and also son-in-law. And he said to them what? Ala tusalliyan. Will you not pray? So the father should encourage his children to do what? Pray. A father-in-law should encourage his son-in-law to what? To pray. Everyone understand this? And these are companions. They were of age, they were grown. But the Prophet still encouraged them what? To pray. And how many things fall apart in the family structure when we can't even pray together? Even the Christians know this. In the American culture, a family that prays together stays together. That's a famous cliche from down south. The church, the grandmother, Sunday. Everyone understand this? And what happens to your little cousin or your little brother? He misses a Sunday dinner, right? After church. Okay, maybe he was busy, maybe he was sick, right? But then he misses a second and a third. And the next thing you know, the grandfather or the uncle that says, where's little such and such at? I haven't seen him. That's the telltale sign that he's what? He's straying. And he's getting involved in crimes or drugs, or he's getting involved in something that's illicit. That is the beginning of it. And the grandmother, the old grandmother, with the gray hair and the dentures, she puts her head down, she sighs, and she knows that it's unlikely for little Richard not to come and eat dinner 2-3 weeks in a row. Something isn't right. And other parents, other people may be in denial, but she knows that what? It's the beginning of his inhiraf. I understand, and the same applies to Islam. Your family not praying, they're not going to the masjid. You don't see the young brother in the masjid for Jumu'ah week after week. Something is what? It's a sign that something is going on. Khayran inshallah. So it was said after that that our souls, he says, biyadillah, in the hands of Allah. This affirms sifatul yad lillahi azza wa jal, that Allah azza wa jal has a hand, and it is real and it is not figurative, just like the rest of his names and his attributes, azza wa jal. Tayyib, this also affirms that Allah azza wa jal is in control of the servants, whereas the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam never denied that, but he recited the Quran from Surah Al-Kahf, in which Allah azza wa jal, he says, وَكَانَ الْإِنسَانُ أَكْثَرَ شَيْءٍ جَدَلًا, and man is often so quarrelsome. He wants to argue and debate on everything. He can't just submit. He can't just do what's right. It's always an excuse. It's always a debate. The Prophet ﷺ, he recited this ayah to his family, who were Muslims, who were companions. What about someone who says, well, I don't have to pray because I don't have to go to work, or I can sell swine and pork because I live in America? And people who make excuses. And a person is a normal name Muslim, and then they become a faqih magically to support their own desires. Allah says that man is ever most quarrelsome. أكثر شيء جدلا. Man can't just submit. He can't just obey. He always has to try to outsmart someone and prove that he knows what he's doing that's clearly wrong to be right. Khairan inshallah. And this also goes to show us sometimes from the etiquettes of the scholar and the leader is not to debate and argue. Sometimes you should not debate and you shouldn't argue. And if someone is being stubborn in their ways, or you say has a full cup, then what? Leave them. Turn away from them, leave them. Are you understand this? And this hadith also shows us tafsir al-Qur'ani bis-sunnah. Tafsir al-Qur'ani bis-sunnah. Explaining the Qur'an with the sunnah. And it's showing how a verse can apply to more than one phase. Are you understand this? They weren't kuffar. They were pious Sahaba. But in this instance, like, moving forward. Hadith 444. This goes to show us, similar to what Hadith 442 explained with regards to the shaitan tying these knots at the back of the head, waliyadu billah. And as we've explained before, just like the shaitan urinating in the ear of the servant. It's literal, and it also means, or is included, the other things as well, causing a person to oversleep, to sleep too much, etc. Now, An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says regarding this, He says, وكذا نقل القاضي عن رواية الأكثرين عليك ليلا طويلا إلى أن قال واختلف العلماء في هذه العقد فقيل هو عقد حقيقي بمعنى عقد السحر للإنسان ومنعه من القيام. قال الله تعالى ومن شر النفاثات في العقد. فعلى هذا هو قول يقوله يؤثر في تثبيت النائم كتأثير السحر. He says the ulama, they differ on this. Some say that it is literal, actual knots, like the knots of sihr, of a spell, curse, incantation, a caster, right? As Allah Azza wa Jal mentions in Surah Al-Falq, that He was commanded, وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ, and I seek your refuge, O Allah, from the evil of women who blow into knots, meaning witches. Those who practice this type of sorcery or Wicca. It's a long discussion, the difference between a witch, sorcerer, wizard, etc. Al-Muhim, those who practice sihr. Those who do what? They practice sihr. Waliyadu billah. And he says, for someone to be prevented from standing up and worshiping Allah Azza wa Jalla as if it's sihr. As if it's what? As if it's sihr. Now, he says here, and that a person will become lazy and lethargic, just like sihr has an effect on someone. The scholars of Islam, they say, there's an interesting point, that from the signs of jinn possession, and we know that jinn possession oftentimes is connected to sihr. They don't always have to be the same, but oftentimes they're what? They're connected. Oftentimes. If one may say most of the times. A person doesn't get the jinn until sihr was put on them. When sihr was placed on them, the jinn came. Most of the times, you'll find the two like hand in hand. Sihr and jinn go hand in hand. From the signs of jinn possession, or a person has sihr on him or her, is that they're unexplainably lazy. Unexplainably lethargic. They have no energy all of the time. Like a heroin addict, in which they're just out all of the time, sleepy, snoozing, falling over, leaning over, uncontrollably. Everyone understand this? Some of the ulama, they say this. It is from the signs of jinn possession. When a person has unexplainable what? Fatigue and exhaustion. Everyone understand this? It's from the signs a person has sihr on them and a jinn has befallen them. Waliyadu billah. So look at the connection here. Oversleep, don't get up for Fajr, and the shaitan tying the knot, and waliyadu billah, right? Moving forward, he says here, وَقِيلَ يُحْتَمُلُ أَنْ يَكُونَ فِعْلًا يَفْعَلُوا كِفِعْلِ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ. And others, they say, فِعْلٌ, he says, an action that he does like the women who blow into those knots. وَقِيلَ هُوَ مِنْ عُقْدَ الْقَلْبِ وَتَصْمِيمِهِ كأنه يوسوس في نفسه ويحدث بأن عليك ليلا طويلا فتأخر عن القيام. And others, they say it pertains to the heart, as if he's tying someone's heart and allowing a person to sleep deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. I will explain how the Prophet said, what side did he sleep on? Right side, and not on the left side, to make it easier to get up and pray. With regards to the heart being on the left side. We explained that before. Now from one thing, learn what? 10,000 things. Moving forward, he says, وَقِيلُهُ مَجَازٌ كَانَ بِهِ عَنْ تَثْبِيتِ الشَّيْطَانِ قِيَامَ اللَّيْلِ آخِرٍ. In others, they say that it's just metaphorical, or it's not literal, that the shaitan is causing the son of Adam to become lazy. Causing the son of Adam to be what? To become lazy. As far as the part of the hadith that says that if he gets up for the Fajr, he'll wake up طَيِّبُ النَّفْس. He'll be energized, he'll be happy, he'll be in a good state, good energy. And if not, he says, وَإِلَّا أَصْبَحَ خَبِيثَ النَّفْسِ كَسْلَانًا فِيهِ فَوَائِدٌ مِنْهَا الْحَثُّ عَلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى إِنَّ الْإِسْتِيقَاظَ وجاءت في أذكار مخصوصة مشهورة في الصحيح وقد جمعتها وما يتعلق بها في باب من كتاب الأذكار ولا يتعين لهذه الفضيلة ذكر لكن الأذكار المأثورة فيه أفضل. He says many benefits in this hadith. Number one is the encouragement to make dhikr of Allah when you wake up. It is recommended, highly recommended, to mention Allah's name, to praise Him when you wake up. And he talks about the concept of the du'as pertaining to waking up and going to sleep and all of the supplications. And he says that he's compiled them. Now, in what book? Al-Adhkar, right? Now, play it. Moving forward. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, a person doesn't have to make a specific dhikr here. Point number 2. He says, فيه ومنها تحريض على الوضوء حينئذ وعلى الصلاة وإن قلت. It proves the virtue of making wudu and the virtue of making prayer before one sleeps and when one wakes up. And once one does what? Wakes up. Right. And the other fawaid that he mentions as well, I think this is more than enough and more than clear to show us the danger of shaitan and to show us the justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because one may say it's unfair for Allah to make someone that has all of these powers and strength and speed and knowledge and all this guile, and he's so fast and he can penetrate and extract himself, withdraw himself. You don't even know he's in your house. He's near you. Against a poor, weak son of Adam who has desires and lust and he needs rest. It's unfair. But Allah Azza wa Jalla is just. Just like He made shaitan and He created him with all of these different powers and abilities that exceed those of the human being, He gave the human being a shield and a sword. An impenetrable shield, an unbreakable sword. And that is the shield and the sword of dhikr. The shield and the sword of the Quran, of the salah, of the adhan. If you're using these weapons properly, shaitan can't hurt you. And if he does hurt you, it's only because what Allah wills. And He's not going to destroy you. He's not going to what? He's not going to destroy you. The damage will be what? Minimal. So Allah gives this and He also does what? He gives that. But most of us, we only look at the negative side. And we don't take these weapons that Allah has handed us. So this is a tremendous hadith pertaining to tarbiyah, raising your family, educating your children. Teach your children that you have to pray, son. You have to pray, daughter. It's not okay to oversleep. No matter how tired you are, I'm tired too. Abby works too. Umi has to work too. I have to prepare your meals and make your lunch. I get up and pray, and the same you have to do. And then if you teach them and train them to pray, hopefully when it's time for them to pray, when they have to pray, they'll do it willingly. Like the rest of the affairs of religion, of fasting, of hijab, and all of the do's and the don'ts in our Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing us best. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.